everywhere I go. Tell the world, tell them, yeah, I'm a billboard. Tell the world, and I'm broadcasting like a radio. Tell the world you ought to know. I'm Brando.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Spirit-filled edition of FBS Fireside. We have a great show planned for you all today. My name is Jaworski Vance. I'm your host, and I'm in the studio with my good friend, brother, amazing mentor. He's probably one of the best relationship coaches out there. His name is Worldwide Will. Why you laughing, man? It's the truth, man. Sure, the teacher was talking about that the other day.
I accept it. How you doing, man? I'm glad to be here.
Man, you better accept. You don't have no choice. And we're glad to have you here, man. Thank you. And so looking forward to hearing your perspective about the joys and privilege of fatherhood as we unpack what it is to watch our children grow, to guide our children and motivate our children as fathers. You've just had some amazing developments recently. And we just want you to share some of them, especially the one in particular, man, with my guy, Dominic Brown, man. I mean, he just... Rich Nick, man. Rich Nick out there doing his thing, man. Thank you so much for sending me those videos, man. So anyway, tell our audience, man, what's going on with you as a father with this young man.
Yeah, man. Dominic just went off to college. He's attending Southwest Mississippi Community College. And it's just an amazing thing to see him just leave the nest, man. He got a basketball scholarship. He was the first Black student body president at ECS at his school. He just received the first endorsement for colleges. They just had this new rule where you can get paid off your name, image, and likeness. He was the first junior college athlete to do so with a company called Soul Pack out of NYC. And he also has his own brand, man. His brand is called Prep Rep, where they make apparel for high schools that you would want to wear out, not just like a homecoming T-shirt. It's something that you can rep the school proudly in, and it's fashionable. And also, for every purchase, they donate money back to that school. So I'm very proud of his what he's becoming, and I'm so blessed to be able to watch what he's becoming.
Yeah, man, and I've been enjoying watching it from the sideline, watching you and Toria. Just love on that young man collectively. I know y'all been married for how long? Y'all been married now?
18 years. 18 years.
18 years. Yeah, and I watched you guys. 18 years. What'd you say?
It'll be 19 years in November.
19 years in November. Yeah, I've watched you guys. Just persistently fight for each other and also do a great job at parenting Dominic. He is an extraordinary individual. I wanted to ask you though, when Dominic had to leave, what was that like? I mean, what was that? I mean, those few days of packing, getting ready.
I'm gonna be transparent. I think that we were so busy up until that point where it didn't hit you. And me as a man, I'm just like, yeah, he'll be all right. Everything's going to be good. I'm going to be all right. They talk about parents crying and things of that nature. That's not going to happen to me. I'm a grown man. Why would I do that? And he actually drove down. He drove down. We kind of trailed each other. But the day before, the weekend before, he had already gone down for a tournament in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was walking through the house, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I looked in his room, and I got emotional, man. I was like, "What in the world?" I called my wife. I was like, "Yo, have you been emotional?" She was like, "No, I'm good." I'm just like, "What?" It's just me. But I will say, man, he's been like my road dog, like my partner for so long. Since I've been on the entrepreneurial track, my wife has had to go to work. I've been the one dropping him off and picking him up. And a lot of times he's stuck with me at meetings and things of that nature. So it's just been my guy, man. So it was tough. That day it was just so unexpected to be emotional. But I think I'm good now.
That's good, man. And I could see how you could be so emotional too, man, because a lot of times I would call you and Dominic would be right there by your side. I don't know if you see this the way that I see it, but when I see the two of you, it's really a supernatural thing because I see destiny being activated in both of you simultaneously in the way or at the level that you are on. You know,
Right.
like you're doing a lot of marketing and design work, and you're heavily involved with the sports industry, with the kids that you're doing faith prep. And then I see young Dominic, young Rich Nick, you know, he's paralleling almost everything that you're doing, you know, and then the parallel to me is exciting because it seems like it's at the same pace.
Right.
And so I'm just excited, man, to watch young Rich Nick grow up like that and to see him emulate such a amazing man in you.
Right, man, I appreciate it. And it's a privilege, man. It's just a privilege to be there as a father and watch. I don't think I would have had it any other way. I know I wanted to go to the NBA and things of that nature, but I would have been gone too much to see him literally grow up from toddler to preteen to teen to now as a young adult. So it's just a beautiful thing and a blessing to be able to see that, to watch that, and him to know I was there every step of the way for him.
Yeah, man, that's good. And to all the listeners out there, we hope you're grasping this first concept, this first joy and privilege of fatherhood, which is being able to watch your children develop into who God created them to be. Thank you for joining us on this week's show. And we'll be right back after this on FBS Fireside, the place where we bring men to life by bringing life to men.
Oh, I love you, yeah, like no other, yeah. When I see you smile, you shine just like the summer, yeah.
And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us again. We want to continue in our series on the joys and privilege of fatherhood. I'm Jaworski Vance in the studio with Worldwide Will, and we were talking earlier about being able to watch our children grow. We want to continue talking about the joys and privilege by talking about, Will, I want you to just give the listeners some idea about how amazing it is to also be able to guide your children as a father through the lives and the times that we have to face, that they have to face as young people here in America.
Man, you know, I strive to be the father that I didn't have. And a lot of times I didn't have that blueprint growing up with relationships and goal setting and things I did not have. I strive to be that person that can be that father for my kids, that they do have that blueprint. Like I always tell them, I took all the L's and the losses so you could get the dubs. You know what I mean? They can get
That's
the
good.
dubs. So, you know, use me as a blueprint, use me as a cheat code. You know, with that being said, I told you about my youngest son going out to college last week. Man, my oldest son made some amazing steps in his life last week too, because he proposed to his girlfriend. So he's had an amazing journey from college basketball to deciding not to play basketball to going to flight school and getting his pilot's license. Now working on his commercial pilot's license after graduating from University of Memphis. So he's doing some amazing things too. And to see him step into another part of manhood, you know, it's daunting because he, you know, trying to guide him through that situation because, you know, of course, he wants to do it. He came to me and said, look, I'm going to propose. And I'm like, you sure? He just turned 24. He's a young man. I'm like, you know what this means, right? You sure? Because this is no more play. You know, this is dedicated to family. This is, you know, no more being the guy who can have or choose who he wants to be with. You're making a decision. So to see him do that at a young age and to be able to, because I sort of did it at a young age as well, but not as young. Definitely different circumstances. I'm trying to make sure that he does things in a different way. If me and my wife could go back, we wouldn't have had a child so early. Maybe we don't have a child for like 3 years and enjoy ourselves. So I'm encouraging him, look, you know, enjoy yourselves and just being there to be a guide, man. You know, it's an amazing thing. I can't wait till you do. I can't wait till you see Javen on one knee. Or maybe Jackson, maybe he goes first. You never know. And those emotions.
Hey, man, I tell you, Jackson is definitely on pace for doing that. He has an amazing girlfriend. I love her to death.
Oh, wow, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they are two peas in a pod. They are a joy to watch. However, I, too, am like you. I don't think there's any need to be in any rush,
right?
You know, to make a lifelong commitment until you find out who you are. You know, and I think who you are as an individual, separate and apart from your family, you know, as a young man, you know, just trying to find out who God created you to be as an individual. And we're there to help guide you through that process. And sometimes you're right, you know, in relationships, they need a little extra insight, a little extra wisdom to help them navigate that, because I think it can be dangerous to give too much of yourself to another individual too soon.
For sure.
Even with what you were saying about in your marriage with you and Toria, you know, sometimes it's good to just learn how two people can interact as individuals without inviting another person, a child, you know, into the conversation.
Man, listen, the child changed everything. First, it was me and her and just in love, and I just couldn't get enough of each other, and we were friends, so everything was good. And things happened so quickly that we weren't able to discuss what we held as beliefs. What's right?
That's good.
You know, how should he be disciplined? You know what I mean? What's too tough in your opinion? What's too tough in my opinion, or not tough enough? You know, it was a clash of the Titans for a while because we had different views. Coming from, you know, a female household mostly, me coming from a male household mostly, is me and my brother. You know what I mean? She was her and her sister. They had a brother, but the brother was kind of did his own thing. So me being tough was foreign to her. You know what I mean? What type of school should he attend? And at the time, since we were both getting, you know, our career started, we didn't want to thwart our cash flow, putting it all into private school, even though we did, you know, and then we tried public school for a while. It's just so many different things that you have to understand, the intricacies of marriage, especially before you have children. If we could go back, we both said, look, we would travel, we would just get to know each other, and how we, you know, how each other interacts. Even just living together is you got to work that out.
Right. Yeah. But I also think that that's the experience that you guys have had for 18 years. And Jordan, if you're listening to this, Dominic, you too, Javen Jackson, Tally, and Destin, all the rest, if y'all are listening to this, Will has already told y'all he's got a cheat code, okay, where you can advance a few levels. You don't have to necessarily go through some of these hard times of your own. That's one of the joys and privileges of fathering, right? We're able to give you some information. We've taken the L's so that you don't have to.
Right. So that you may win.
That's right. That's right. And look, I've taken two big ones. I've been married and divorced twice, and everybody knows it. Okay. So, but you know, I had to actually share this with my fiance the other day, and that one of the mistakes that people make and thinking that because I've been married and divorced twice, that I'm a failure in a marriage and didn't learn anything through that process.
Right.
And the reality is this: I have, like you have, learned how to overcome those things and maintain a marriage for 18, 19 years. I've learned some of the things that, you know, lead to the demise of a marriage, lead to just, you know, things, areas that you want to stay away from by any means necessary, like giving yourself up too soon before you find out who you are, before you find out your triggers, before you deal with your own emotional traumas or whatever. But again, this is one of the reasons why it's such a joy and a privilege to be a father, because you can share that information with your children so that they too don't have to go through the same process.
Right. That's a beautiful thing. That's invaluable. You know, your experiences are priceless. And I think that we go through things not for ourselves, but for others, especially our children.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for going through everything you've gone through and sharing that with us and all of our listeners. With that in mind, I want to segue into this next song. It's a great song by Donald Lawrence. It talks about how God governs an army of angels. I hope our listeners enjoy this, and we'll be right back here on FBS Fireside, the place where we bring men to life by bringing life to men.
I shall not fear the arrow by day, nor shall I fear the terror by night. The God who governs angel
Thank you and welcome back to the final section. We're talking about the joys and privilege of fatherhood here on FBS Fireside. I have my amazing co-host and friend, Worldwide Willie. He's a relationship expert, and we're going to finish up with this last section talking about motivating, how motivating our children is definitely a joy and a privilege. And so given that your son has gone off to college, you got another son that's married, what are you seeing in terms of the victories, the wins that you guys are experiencing because of the motivation you've shared with your children?
Man, first of all, I would just definitely like to say that one thing that I learned is regret is hard to live with, right? So that's the one thing that you can't get back. You can't get time back and things of that nature. So I preach this since day one. You want to live with no regret. That means you got to go after everything you want and go after it now. So my part of my motivation has been showing them how some of my failures and what I would have done. So now I get to motivate you to don't do what I did. You know what I'm saying? Don't procrastinate. Don't wait. Go after what you want now. And then you just have faith and believe that, you can speak things into existence as well. God powers you to do that. So with that being said, every time I speak to them in terms of pushing them forward toward, success and whatever they want. You know what I'm saying, in life. Mm-hmm. And to not have regret, to think of those things like, you don't want to get to 35 and 36 and look back and say, man, what would have happened if I would have gave my all? What would have happened if I would have put the work in instead of laying in the bed, or instead of doubting myself or worrying about what the outcomes would be, So it's a privilege to be able to share that with them and to see them take steps and make strides. Who would have ever thought that my oldest son would have a pilot's license and want to be a commercial pilot? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's huge.
And to see my youngest basically be like an apprentice to me, and to see me and him. You know what I'm saying? And he's actually counseling people. People actually reach out to him for advice and things of that nature. And when he uses his wisdom, I'm like, man, I told you that. But, it's amazing to see that. And I appreciate, God for letting me be these particular two young men, their father, and watching them mature. But I'm definitely motivating them every day. They probably get tired of all the quotes and things I send them, but I do that.
No. I mean, and you know what? And they may get tired of it, but let me share something with you. What you're doing is no small thing. There's a chemical called dopamine,
right,
that flows through the body. And dopamine is activated when people feel a sense of accomplishment. When you tap somebody on the back and you say, "Attaboy." And let me unpack that a little deeper. There's also been a study done recently that says professionals, people who have gone to college and make a lot of money, they give their children 5 encouraging compliments, affirmations for every one discouraging compliment. And the further you move down the economic ladder, the ratio changes. So when you get to middle class or lower income people, there's 3 encouraging compliments for every one discouraging compliment. Right. And then when you get to the poor communities, it's the direct opposite. There are 3 discouraging comments for every one positive compliment. So what you have done with your children is no small thing. Please don't stop. To all of our listeners out there, I hope you guys hear and understand how important it is, not just psychologically, but biochemically, right? For your children to hear you say, hey, look, great job. You can do it. I'm proud of you. What are we going to accomplish next? And I've seen you do that time and time and time again with Dominic and Jordan. I try to do that with my sons. And you're right, to a point, they get tired of all this encouragement outwardly. But as fathers, we must never stop, because inwardly there's something happening on a deeper level that'll help them be who God created them to be.
Yeah, man. And I think at the same time, if you remind me of something I was telling my wife about, one of my college basketball teammates, and how on the other side of what you just said, if you do chastise, if you do quote unquote tear down, you have to build back up. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to go in, because those are sons, man. Sons, especially, they need some tough love at times, because they're gonna balk back at what you say. They're gonna have their own minds. They may be disrespectful and test the waters. But if you tear down, you have to build back up. If you chastise, you have to come back and tell your son. This is why I said what I said. You never leave it just open, in the air, so they can assume things and start coming to conclusions that probably are off base based on the emotions. So as we get on them and we hard on them, you know what I'm saying, like, and tell them and reprimand them and things of that nature, we have to come back and build back up as well. So it's a constant yin and yang, especially with boys.
Man, you always challenging me in some way, man, because I just chastised David Jackson the other day. Now I got to get off of this show and call him and try to call him.
You got to call him and say, hey, let me clarify what happened. I did that and I said that, but this is why I did it. Because every time we chastise, it's a deeper meaning behind it.
Right.
I might be, quote unquote, embarrassing you, blasting you right now, hurting your feelings right now, but it's because I see what's coming down the road. I'm saving you.
That's good.
From yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I got to come back and explain that, because 9 times out of 10, here's the thing, JV, I think you might have told me this one day years ago, you never see yourself how others see you. And you definitely don't see yourself how your son or your daughter sees you. Because your words reverberate louder in their lives probably than anybody else. So that one thing you said to them, it might be like, boom, to the heart. So you have to come back and kind of explain why I did that. And there's a method to the madness.
Hey, man, this was supposed to be a general show. This was not supposed to be relationship counsel for me. But I told y'all he was one of the best relationship He's one of the best relationship coaches there is, man. I appreciate that. That's great advice. I'm going to do just that. Get off, and motivate my sons and rebuild them from anything.
Right. And you're going to win. Both of you, you're going to win in the end.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because if we can win the way that you winning with you and your sons, man, I would feel fantastic. So thank you all of our listeners for joining us again here on FBS Fireside. We're going to close out with a great song called We Win by Canton Jones, one of my new favorite artists. And we'll see you back here again next week. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week. God bless.